A very good afternoon to one and all present here. So greetings from Department of Computer Applications, Francis Xavier Engineering College. I welcome you all for this live webinar session by Mr. K. Maria Shibu, our 2008 batch alumnus, project lead, Tata Consultancy Services, Uruguay and South America. And a special thanks to our Honorable Director, Alumni and Assistant General Manager, Mr. Krishna Kumar, for his valuable guidance, support and presence here. Now, to start this session with the prayer, now I request Mr. Arul Amalraj, Assistant Professor of MCA Department, to lead us on prayer.
Prayer. Almighty God, we thank you for the webinar session. Bless the resource person and all the participants to be filled with your divine knowledge and wisdom throughout this session. Help each one to express their strengths and help them to gain more knowledge through this session. We ask all these things in the most precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Mrs. S. Jasmine Mary, Assistant Professor of MCA Department, to welcome the gathering.
Welcome all. Welcome is given in the Bible as welcome one another, as Christ has welcomed you for the glory of God. In the name of God Almighty, the Most High and Gracious, I welcome
Our Director, Alumni and Assistant General Manager, Mr. Krishna Kumar sir, to share a few words about this webinar.
Very good afternoon, everyone. And I convey my best wishes to the HOD and the faculty members of MCA department for arranging this wonderful webinar. And special thanks to Mr. Maria Shibu, the technical head and Tata Consultancy Service, Uruguay, South America, for accepting our invitation and giving us going to give a wonderful seminar. Thank you, Shibu, and I convey my best wishes to everyone. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Mr. D. Stanley, Assistant Professor of MCA Department, to introduce our resource person.
Good evening to everybody. So I feel much pleasure to introduce the resource person, Mr. K. Maria Shibu, who is none other than our alumni. He is always well known for his interpersonal skills and the commitment and hard working. He did his undergraduation in the discipline of mathematics from Manomaniyam Sundarar University, Tirunelveli. He completed MCA from our institution in the year 2011. His core competencies are the Crystal reports, the Microsoft technologies, RDLC report, then Infragistics, EDMX, and the LIS. He worked as a software engineer with the Vibrant Healthcare and Services Private Limited, Chennai. He also worked as a software engineer with Accenture, Chennai. At present, he is working as a team lead TCS, Uruguay, South America. He is having a vast experience of working with clients like Sutherland Global Services, then Southern Railway Hospital, Apollo Hospital, and Pusravi Hospital, Malaysia, and Vibrant Technologies, Chennai. His vast experience includes creating of user interface, creating the data class and business class component, then working with different database like SQL Server and MySQL, delivering the designing with the business logic and creating stored procedures, views and index, developing of Crystal reports, fixing errors from testing team and clients, then working with the infragenetics control, then developing XAML for design and working with the WCF services for communication. So totally he is having nearly 8 years of vast experience in the software development using Microsoft technologies like .NET, Silverlight, WPF, WCS, MVC, MVMM, C#, SQL Server, Oracle, SSIS, and SSRS. So we feel much proud in introducing such a renowned person in front of you. We assure you that the webinar will be an innovative one for all the members who are attending. Thank you all.
Sir, now over to Maria Shibu. Shibu, you can start.
Thank you, everybody, to giving me this wonderful opportunity. First of all, thank you to our Department of MCA, Francis Xavier Engineering College, Vannarpeta, Tirunelveli. And also, I am thanking to Director of Alumni, Dr. Krishna Kumar sir, to arrange this wonderful webinar session. So now I am going to present my PPT. Now everybody can able to see my screen?
Yeah, it's,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. I am going to explain about these 4 topics: .NET, SQL Server, SSIS package, SSRS report. First of all, I want to tell about why I am choosing these topics. The first thing, data management. So what is the purpose we are using software? The software is using to avoid the manual effort, increase the savings, the time limit, and cost effective. That is the purpose we are using software. And these are the 4 main Microsoft technology using in software companies to data management. The first thing is .NET. .NET is the platform to provide the feature for every user to interface with the system. For example, Visual Studio. Visual Studio is the platform to provide the different types of tools like text boxes, radio buttons, drop-down lists, checkbox. These are the tools user can use and enter their data. And so this is a tool user can interact with the system. And SQL Server. SQL Server is using for storing the data in a table format. So what are the data requested by users via .NET application using by parameter or parameter properties values? The data will transfer from .NET application to SQL servers. So in .NET, we are using different kind of layers like a data access layer, business layers, controller to navigating the data from front end to back end. We will discuss those details in later in the next coming screens. So next we will see about SSIS package. SSIS package, what it will do now, user interface communicate the data and they stored the data in SQL server. Now SSIS package, what it will do, it will move the data from one location to another location. For example, in a big organization, in a big organization, they have multiple branches. Like, for example, some location have in India, some location have in they have in USA, some location they have in some other another location. So they won't use the single server or database. Each location should they have a multiple database to maintaining the data. But every organization have the parent organization and child organization, right? So the child organization is depending on parent organization. So this kind of situation, they want the data move from one location to another location. So SSIS package provide the feature to configure different types of database, different types of file type like exe file or XAML files to load the data, and it will load the data from different source location to different destination location. So this is the purpose of SSIS package. The fourth thing is SSRS report. The SSRS report, what it will do, so now user storing their the data and they maintaining every data in database. SSRS, and also, for example, in a business director or management, they want to check the data. For example, they want to check the number of employees count for every month or every week or yearly ones. So so in early days, what we will do, we make the script like select star from on this table to pull the data. We need to execute the script in a database and pull the data details. So to avoid this manual effort, we are using this SSRS report. In the SSRS report, we can configure the particular select statement itself, and we can configure the mail ID, which mail ID you want to send the status report. You can format the data in some template. So, and you can schedule the report. So based on the schedule time, which time, maybe you can schedule daily ones, or you can schedule 5 minutes one, or you can schedule monthly ones, or you can schedule yearly ones. Based on the schedule time, the report automatically execute the script and pull out the data from database and format the data in email format, and send the data to mail ID, which mail ID you configured in the report. So to avoid all the manual work, these are the 4 main technology using to manage the data in automatically. So we will see in depth what are the types of architecture we have in .NET application. First thing I want to explain about .NET overview. .NET overview, I already explained you the purpose of .NET is main purpose of .NET is user can interact with the system. It will provide the different types of tool to communicate like it will provide tables, drop downs, check boxes, radio buttons, everything. So Visual Studio, it is the platform and provide all these features. And currently, we have .NET Framework. .NET Framework, nothing but it have the collection of DL file. Each DLL file have provide different types of functions. So the latest version of .NET Framework 4.7.1, and the latest version of Visual Studio is Visual Studio 2019. So Visual Studio 2019 is the latest version released by Microsoft. So currently, most of all the organization are using Visual Studio 2019 version. So here I explain about what are the types of application we can develop in Visual Studio. And there are more number of application, more number types of application we can create in Visual Studio. That is web application we can create, Windows application we can create, mobile application we can create. But the main application is Windows application and web application, WPF and Silverlight. So I can tell about what is Windows application. The Windows application is nothing but the exe file running in the system itself. For example, web application mean what? Web application means browser application. For example, we have the website for our FX engineering college. So that particular website we can access anywhere from the world. Everybody can run that particular browser-based application from all over the world. But Windows application means we can run only in our own system. Okay. For example, in our college library have one library management application to managing all the books details. That particular application developed in Windows application. And also it will run only in our library system. We cannot access those applications from outside. This is a difference between Windows application and web application. Web application, it will run via a browser like Internet Explorer or Google Chrome or Firefox like that. But Windows application, it is a exe file, it will run in our own system. So now I want to explain about Silverlight. So for example, web application, my .NET web application, for a user interface, we can create in HTML. HTML is the code to create the user interface. We can design the files, this user interface files, right? So design purpose, we are using HTML coding. But in Silverlight, for design purpose, we are using XAML code. It is advanced technology of XML. So XAML code we are using for design purpose. The only difference between web application and Silverlight is in web application we are using HTML and Silverlight we are using XAML code. So, but as of now, Silverlight, it is a failure technology. So Microsoft is sunset and no more is using. So currently is widely using technologies, Windows application and web application. So we will move to next slide. Here I mention what are the languages is supporting by Visual Studio. Visual Studio is totally supported by 36 language, that is like C, C++, Visual Basic, C#, F#, XML. But in language means there are two types of languages there. One is code behind language, another one is design based language. For example, C, C++, Visual Basic, .NET, C#, F#, these are code behind language. So code behind language means if you want to make any functionality in your project, you can write the functionality in code behind language. But if you want to design the screens like you can make it as toolboxes like a text box, checkbox, radio button, those kind of design, you can make it in design language, that is XAML, XLT, HTML. These are the two different types of language. But widely using language in our organization is .NET, Visual Basic and C#. So these are the languages are supporting by Visual Studio. So in the next topic, I explain about types of application. Type of application, I already explained you Windows Form application and ASP Form application, right? So Windows Form application, this topic I already discussed. Windows Form application, we can once you deploy the application, it will make it as a exe file, and you have to keep the exe file in your local machine. And whenever you want to run the exe file, you have to manually run, and you can do whatever you want to do that.
Shibu, 1 minute.
Yes.
Participants, kindly mute yourself. Participants, kindly mute yourself.
Sorry, I didn't get.
It's not for you. Uh, they are not muting themselves. Okay, thank you. Proceed, Shibu.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So, once you, after creating the web application, you can make it as a exe file. So, the exe file, you have to keep it in your local machine, and whenever you want to run the application, you have to manually run and do your process over there. But a web application, you have to, it is a ASP.NET web application, you have to deploy the application in IAS server. IAS server, once you, it is like, it is not a deploy, it is like publish. The difference between deploy and publish is, deploy means you are, that WinForm, right? You can, the WinForm application you can deploy, but web application you have to publish. Publish means you have to publish the application over the IAS server. IAS server should be common server. It should be active every 24/7 time. So that that is a reason whenever we created any web application, the particular web application is running all time 24/7 because it is published in IAS, and the IAS server should be active all time. So we will go for next topic, design pattern. Okay, design pattern. This is MVC design pattern. First thing. So in early days, what in Visual Studio structure is single tier architecture. Single tier architecture means everything, all the development process have happened in a single page. Like in design, they will do in single page. In code behind, they will do in single page. In data business functions, they will do in single page. Database calling, they will do in single page. So everything is single pages. So the drawback of this single tier architecture is the process time is very slow. So if you click any button, it will takes more time to load one page to another page. And also, for example, today I developed application in single tier architecture. Tomorrow, if I want to do any changes over there, or business want to give any additional requirement over there, you have to modify the existing code, right? That time, if everything created in a single page, you need to modify all the project. So for small changes, need to modify all the projects. That is not recommended, and also it will impact to the related function and all. So to avoid this critical situation, they introduce MVC design pattern. MVC is nothing but model view controller. First we discuss about view. View means what? View means is a presenter. Presenter means is a user interface. For example, in HTML code, right? Here we can creating this design pattern, like we can create text boxes, check boxes, radio buttons, and all the user interface screen we are creating in HTML or SAML code. This is the presenter. Presenter means view. So this is a view part. Controller part means some web services or services is acting is like a middleware. It is acting between model and view. So what it will do, what are the data enter in the view, controller is acting as a middleware. It is transferring the data between view and model. So here in controller we can using web services or WCF services to transfer the data from view to model. Model is nothing but it have two layers, like a business layer and a data access layer. In the business layer, what we have to do, what are the functions, for example, user enter some data, but they want to do any modification or they want to do any calculations, they can write the C# code behind. In the C# code behind, they want to do what are the function they want. So this is business layer. So, and also we have one more layer like a data access layer. Data access layer, in the data access layer, we have the connection string, database connection string. We can configure the stored procedure. For example, user enter the data. The purpose of enter the data, they want to store the data in database, right? So data they enter in view and it will passing through controller. From controller, the data is navigating to business layer. In the business layer, what are the functionality they want to do, they make it. And the output result going to model. In the model, what we do, we have to make the connection between .NET and SQL Server, right? That connection string, they will configure in data access layer. Okay. So once get the connection between SQL Server and .NET, and they will configure the particular stored procedure. For example, they want to insert the data into table. So in the insert statement, like insert into this table values, like they passing the values in the parameter. So they make this script in any stored procedure. The particular stored procedure we can configure in data access layer. So this is the data flow will happen in model view controller. We will go to next step. Here I already explained this part. View, we can configure CSS, HTML, XAML code, and all. Model is a representation as a data access layer and a business access layer. Controller is acting as a middleware. It is passing the data from model and views. Yeah, this is I already explained. Here MVP, MVP is nothing but model view presenter. Previously we discussed about model view controller. This is model view presenter. Model view presenter is nothing is like a model view controller only, but the only difference is in MVC for MVC for view we are using HTML code, but in MVP is for view we are using SAML code for design purpose. That is the only different. And user can directly communicate with view, and it will data is navigated between view on presenter, and data is navigated between model and presenter. So this is the different. In MVP we are using SAML code and HTML code, and MVP we are using SAML code. Yeah, this is the same thing I explained here. This is MVVM design pattern. MVVM is nothing but model view model. Model view model means MVP is a Windows based application. MVVM is a web based application. For example, like Silverlight. Silverlight is designed by MVVM. So in the MVVM, the difference between MVVM and MVC is MVC we have used HTML, and MVVM we use SAML. But MVVM is a browser-based application, like web application. So that is the only different. Here I explain about single tier architecture, two tier architecture, three tier architecture. Single tier architecture I explained you before, like everything they will develop in single page, like presentation layer, business logic layer, data layer, everything they maintain in a single page. So this kind of architecture is not recommended in a big project, because so if any changes going, any impact will happen, we need to modify entire the application, entire project. And if business record any additional changes, we need to modify the entire projects. So for small thing, we need to modify entire project. It is not recommended by organization. So they introduce three-tier architecture. But when before introducing three-tier architecture, all the organizations are used single tier. But in current days, no one is using that. So two-tier architecture, is nothing but this tier only have a presenter and model. So presenter means the design part, right? Model means this logic part and data part. These two part only have, and the communicator is not have in two-tier architecture. Communicator means controller, right? Controller, it is acting like middleware between presenter and data access layer. So in three-tier architecture, we have introduced the controller to acting as a middleware to transfer the data from data between data access layer and presenter. So this is the difference between single-tier architecture, two-tier and three-tier architecture. So
Yes, Shubhu.
yeah, okay. I will continue to my next slide. So in this diagram is clearly explaining how the data flow between a data access layer, a business logic layer, and presentation layer. So presentation layer, what user can interact with the system, right? User can enter their data over there, and the data is flowing to a logical tier. Logical means business layer. Business layer, once they enter the data, after entering, if they want to do any modification over there, they can do in the business logic layer. Once their modification is completed, the output result move to data access layer via parameters. So in the data access layer, it is providing the feature to we can make the configure the stored procedure, and we can make the connection string. In the connection string, we can call the particular SQL server database details. This is the way a user can communicate with the system, and they can enter their data. Data is flowing, will happen in business logic layer. From business logic layer to a data access layer, from data access layer to stored procedure. This is the two-way sync process. Data move from presenter to database and from database to presenter. So in before I discussed about theoretically how the data flow will happen. Here, this screen will clearly show how to we divide the solution. For example, I told you, right? For example, if it is a single layer, every part will be under the application under this web. So here you see this is a MVC pattern. We have created different folder. For example, for view means presenter, right? Here we have all the design part like a HTML code and code behind everything we have in view part. Um, View model is a communicator between presenter and data business layer and data access layer. Here we have different part for business layer. Business layer, here we can do any functionality modification, or if you want to do any calculation, we can do over there. So here is a data access layer. In the data access layer, you can make the SQL string connection string. So this is the model. It is supporting you if you want to do any modification in future. Yeah, you can what are the file you want to modify. You just modify the particular file alone. You should not modify the entire solution. So that is the main usage of this MVC design pattern. So everybody here now?
Yes, Sibu, carry on.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I am moving to my next slide. So this is the code behind we are using to how to pull the data from presenter and from presenter to controller, from controller to business layer, from business layer to data access layer. So first step is data access layer. In the data access layer, as I told you, it will provide the option to configure the stored procedure or SQL statement and all. So here you see, I using one select statement, right? In the select statement, what it will pull, it will pull the data from the table, select star from table where some particular condition. So once the data is selected from this table, they are assigning the data into one data set. Okay, they created one data set. In the data set is like store the data in table format, and we can retrieve the particular data set data in the method. So now this data set have all the data which we pulled using by this select statement. So once we get the data in the select statement, we execute SQL query. So we can, this is the execute SQL means it is execute the script in SQL server, this select statement. So once you execute the server, the data is returned into this method. Which method? We have this method, right? Get data underscore dt id used. Now all the data we pulled using by this script, this is coming in this method. We return the data. Once the data is written in this method, we are this is a business layer. In the business layer, what we did, we are calling this particular method. This method we calling from data access layer. Now we have all the data in business logic layer. Okay. So once we return the data in a business logic layer, once we business logic layer, the same data we return to presenter. So in the presenter, here get all student wise, right? This is the method we used in a business layer. So now all the data is pulled from data access layer to business layer, from business layer to presenter. In the presenter, we are assigning data into one data set. So now this data, in this data set have all the data which we pulled from select statement. So now this is the presenter have the UI screen, right? User interface screen. So every text boxes have the IDs. The ID here we could say text ID dot text. So we are assigning this data set value to this particular text boxes. So once you assign this value like this, the particular value is populated in this text boxes. So this is the two-way sync happened between database and the .NET application. So business layer, data access layer, we already explained. So this is the configuration file. Configuration file is nothing but we can configure the common values, like we can configure the stored procedures. We can, sorry, not stored procedure. We can configure server detail, database details. We can configure the FTP path. We can configure some URLs. So what are the common fields we have in our application? We can configure here. There are two types of configuration file is there. One is app.config, another one is web.config. The difference between app.config and web.config is app.config file we can use in Windows application. Web.config file we have in web-based application, browser-based application. But the purpose of both configuration file same. We can configure the common data. So you can ask one question. The same configuration we can make it in C# code itself. Why we are having this configuration file? The reason is, for example, today the server name is a local server 1. So in a big organization, the server details are managing by separate team, network team. Okay, they are managing the server detail. For example, today I am using some a lower version of the server. For example, tomorrow introducing new server and I want to use the new server, then this server name should be changed, right? So if you configure the particular server name in the C# code, whenever the migration will happen or server name will be changed, you have to do the same changes in C# code and you have to modify the entire application. So for small thing, modify entire application is not recommended. So if you want to do any small changes in server name or FTP path or any common values, you just do the modification in configuration file itself. So once you configure, it will impact in the entire application. So that is the main purpose of a configuration file. So now we make all the changes in configuration file, but you want to make the connection between C# code and the configuration file, right? So here is the code. This is a C# code. Connection string equal to configuration manager dot configuration string charity manager. For what are the connections connection name you have, connection string, right? That connection string if you configure in C# code, you can make the connection between C# code and SQL server. So this is the way the connection is happened between .NET and SQL server. So this is a web.config. As I discussed before, only different is web config file we are using in browser web application like ASP.NET Web application or Silverlight application, we are using web.config file. Here, everybody can able to hear my voice? Hello?
Yes, Shibu, you can carry on.
Yeah, okay. So deploy, here I am showing you how to deploy the Windows application. So the Windows application, it will, there is no common server we need to deploy. So the application is running inside our local machine itself. So here I am showing you the steps we need to follow to deploy the Windows applications. Okay, so there are once you after developing the Windows application, once you right click the solution, you could see uh, there are two different types of build mode. One is a debugging mode and another one is releasing mode. Debugging mode what? For example, if you after developing your code changes, if you want to check whether any error is happening in your development part, you just select the application in debugging mode, and after that you have to build the application. Once you build the application in debugging mode, it will clearly show what are the errors you have in your application. So if you don't have any error and if you want to deploy the application in your local machine, you have to select the release option in configuration files. Once you right click the solution, you could see this you could see this screen. Under this screen, the configuration drop down have two options. One is debugging and another one is releasing mode. So debugging mode, you can build the application and you can see the error detail. And the release mode means after everything is completed successfully, you can deploy the application. So once you select the release mode, here the below text boxes, you have to select which location you want to store the data. So click the browser button wherever you want to store the data, select the particular path location, and if you click OK, the exe file will generate which path you selected here. So if you go to that particular folder location, you could see the exe file as well as configuration file. So once you run the application, once you run the exe, the development windows will open in your system and you can do over there whatever you want. Here I am explaining you how to deploy the web application. So web application, it should not deploy in your local machine, because your local machine is not run every 24/7. For example, I am using one website, right, in browser based application. That browser based application, it will run every time 24/7 whenever I use that URL in the browser, which means the particular web application is deployed in one common server. The server is running all 24/7. So here I am showing you the what are the steps we need to follow to deploy the web-based application. The first thing, to deploy the web-based application, you should have IAS in your server. So once you have the IAS in your server, you have to navigate a control panel in the common server, programs and feature, and Windows feature you have to turn off. And the application in the Windows feature, you have to check these are the ASP.NET 4.7 is selected. So once you selected this option, this IAS in this property, you have to select IAS management console and worldwide web services. Everything is checked. Once checked, you have to navigate to application pool. In the application pool, you have to confirm whether these three option is ordered in the your tables or not. .NET version 4.5, .NET version 4.5 Classic, default pool. This should be available before. This is the before publish. Before publish, these are the configuration you should have in your server. So before we discussed about how to what are the configuration we have before before publish the application. Now I am explaining you how to publish the application. Okay. Here, if you want to publish the application, just right click the application. Once you right click the solution folder, you could see the option like publish. Okay. Once you click the public option, it will asking the IAS server detail, which server you want to publish. So you have to select the particular server name, and it will ask the which URL you want to select. For example, some localhost.com like that. So what are the URL you want to select? Just mention over there, and if you click the application after I enter all the required things, if you click OK, then the particular application published which server you selected. Here I am mention the screenshot how to mention how to show. Okay. Here once you click the publish, the which server you selected and which URL you selected, and the application will publish over the server, and which URL selected, you can browse the particular application using by that HTTP URL. So now I am explaining you TFS. Everybody can able to hear my voice?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Continue.
okay.
Continue.
Yeah, okay. TFS is nothing but Team Foundation Server. For example, in the previous topics, we discussed about how user interact with the system and how our data is inserting into tables, how to publish the application, everything we discussed. Now you can ask one question. In a big organization, there are multiple developer work in a single project. For example, in organization around 30 developer working in a single project. How peoples are working, multiple peoples are working in the single project. That is using by TFS. TFS is nothing but Team Foundation Server. It is provide the feature to multiple employee can work in the single feature. So TFS means we have to keep our development part in a common server. So for example, I am employee 1. I can retrieve the code from the common server, and what are the changes I want to do. I have to do my changes from my local machine, and I can add the my changes into common server. Like that, everybody can retrieve the changes from the common server and do their own changes from their local machine and add it into common server. This is the way TFS provided to future to multiple developer can work in a single project. Here I am explaining you how to add the TFS into our project. First things, once you developed the application, if you go to view option in Visual Studio, you could see Team Explorer. Okay. Once you selected a Team Explorer, once you selected Team Explorer, here you have to option Add Solution Source Controller. Once you click Add Solution Source Controller, it is asking the controller detail like a common server details. Okay. Here you can select the particular common server path, everything. After you selected, after your local code added with the common server, you here in the code here you could see one plus symbol, right? Plus symbol means your solution is added with the common server. Whenever you developed your code in local machine, this plus symbol should not appear here. Once your code is merged with the common server, then the plus symbol is presented here. And if you want to do any, if you did any changes in your local machine, just here, just right. If you right click the particular changes, here one option is showing like check-in. Check-in means you are merging your code with the common server. You are adding your coding with the common server. And here below one option is there command. Command means what are the changes you did. This is a short description. For example, I am added 2 text boxes, or I added some functionality here. So just a small description you have to enter here, and if you check in this button, your code will be added into common server. Okay, like that everybody will do the same process. So all the multiple developers change will be added into common system using by this process. This is a check-in process. Check-in means we are adding our code into common server. The second thing, one more option is there, checkout. Checkout is nothing but, for example, I want the changes, others changes. For example, I am employee 1. Employee 2 also did some changes, right? And they check in means their changes will be presented in common server. I want to retrieve those changes also in my local machine. Then I have to select checkout. Checkout means it will pull the data from common machine. Okay. So this is the way TFS provide different types of options, and also inside the TFS we have to create branches. Like for example, in 2019 I developed some code, and 2020 I created some latest code. So if you want to keep the code in TFS, you can create different branches like 2009 folder, 2020 folder. It is like a repository. A repository means what? Repository means it is keeping our all the existing item, right? So this is the actual functionality of TFS. TFS is providing option to multiple a multiple developer can working in a single project. So now I am moving to a SQL Server. So SQL Server, it is a scripted language, programming language to store the data in table format. Okay. So here I am mentioning what are the basic features. There are many features are there, but I just want to explain some common features we are using in the organization. So here we have insert statement, update statement, delete statement, create a statement, create a new statement, stored procedure we can create views, everything we can do over the SQL Server. So this is a basic table format we are having in stored procedure. So we will go with what are the statement we are using. So this is the select statement. Select statement, what? For example, in the .NET application, user interact with the system and they enter their data. Once they enter the data in stored procedure, so whenever they want to retrieve and see the data in system, so they have to use this select statement. So if you configure this select statement in stored procedure, if you and the stored procedure in configured in particular database layer, uh, that from database layer data moving to business, from business to data moving to presenter. So this is the way user can retrieve the data from database using by this select statement. So SQL select distinct statement. Distinct statement what? It will avoid the duplicate entry. It will avoid, while retrieving that data, it will avoid the duplicate entries. For example, in a single, in a employee table have, for example, one employee ID have ID like 1 to 3. The 1 to 3 employee ID have many times in the same table, but user doesn't want to pull all the duplicate entry. They just want to pull one single only unique data. This kind of situation, we can use this distinct statement to pull the unique data and avoid the duplicate data. So where class is nothing but we can pull out the data based on some condition, like for example, employee registration record. I just want to what are the employees registered between 2019 to 2020. This kind of situation in where class I can put from start date between this start date 2019 and the end date is like 2020. So if you give this kind of condition, then you can pull the data between the particular time limit. Insert into as we discussed before, if user want to insert some data into tables, then this insert statement you can make it in stored procedure format. So in the stored procedure, have the option to create the parameters. Parameter, what is parameter? Parameter means it is passing the values, right? So for example, in user interface have tools like text boxes, everything. So every text boxes values we are keeping in properties. The properties value we are passing via parameters, parameter from presenter to business. From every business have the parameters. From business to data access layer, we are passing the data via parameter, and if you passing the parameter values in the value 1, value 2, and value 3, then the particular text boxes value inserted into table, which table we configured into insert statement. So SQL update. SQL update is also what if you want to do any modification in existing data. For example, we already stored some data in the table. If you want to do do modification any data in SQL existing record, then you can do this update statement. Update statement mostly we have to use some where condition, because in the where condition you have to you have to create some primary key value, put some primary key value. So every, as per the correct procedure, every table should have the primary key value. So based on primary key value, we can update the primary key. we can update the data from different column field also, but mainly we used to use primary key field. So in SQL delete statement, SQL delete statement is used to delete the existing data. So if you don't want to delete the record which is you already stored in the database, then you can delete the data from the table. SQL order by is using for example, if you want to populate the latest data, latest data, then you can use descending order. For example, number of employees are registered, right? So based on the registered date, if you order make the script order by descending, then what are the record have latest record, it will come in first. So this is the situation, you can use the order by statement. So here SQL join. SQL join is using to populate the data from different tables. For example, employee table, some table have employee details, some tables have employee salary, some tables have employee attendance details. But if you want to pick the data from each tables, like employee name, employee salary, like if you want to pick the data from different table, then you have to use this join script. So in below I will explain how to join. So inner join, it will pick the data from, it will pick the common data from different tables. For example, we have table 1 and table 2. So inner join, what it will do, it will, if you make the for example, every table have the primary key. Okay, so primary key, mainly primary key, and for example, employee ID is the primary key for table 1. The same employee ID column is the foreign key for table 2. Then we have to join the two tables using by this primary key and foreign key, and then we can pull the common values from both tables. So this is the use of inner join. So here here we can see left join. Left join means it will pull the data from table 1, and also it is and also common values from table 2. So it is pulling the data from common values from table 1 and table 2, and all the values from table 1. So SQL write join is, it is pulling the data from table 2 and also common values. This is a full outer. Full outer means it is populating all the data from both tables, both table 1 and table 2. That is the purpose of full outer join. This is the primary key. SQL primary key. Primary key is nothing but it is the unique identifier for each record. Unique identifier, for example, we should not insert this primary key value from our user interface. User should not enter this primary key value. Once you make it as a primary, once you make this field as a primary key value, the data will automatically, for example, if you add the one row, the number 1 will automatically insert there. Then if you add the row 2, then number 2 will be automatically insert there. And also it should not allow null values. So so it is a unique identifier for each table. The second thing is SQL foreign key. Foreign key is the reference ID for other table. For example, table 1 have employee ID is the primary key. Table 2 have same primary key, but that is a foreign key for table 1. So this is a reference ID for other table. For example, if I want to join table 1 and table 2 using by any inner join, I can in the on condition, right? In on condition means what are the columns you want to match. So in the on condition, you can keep primary key and foreign key values. So this is the reference ID for other tables. So here we can see the view statement. View statement is nothing but it is a temporary table. For example, in a database, we have more number of tables. I want to pick the data from different tables. So this kind of situation, you can use views. View is using for we can configure multiple table in a single multiple columns from different table and make it as a single table format. It is acting as a temporary table. Okay. So everybody can able to hear my voice?
Shibu, carry on.
Yeah, okay. So now we will move to SSIS package. SSIS package, what it will do, it will move the data from one location to another location. For example, as I told you before, there are in a big organization, they should not have one branches. It should have multiple branches. Maybe they have branches in Chennai, they have branches in Bangalore, they have branches in Delhi or New York City. Everywhere they have the branches. So they should have some parents. The parent organization have one server, and they want to move the data to their child organization. And also if it is a big organization, they should not use the single server. They should use the multiple server. So if they want to move the data from one server to another server, SSIS package to provide the option to configure multiple source server and multiple destination servers. There are different types of source location is there. For example, we can configure SQL server. We can we have the data in SAML file. We have the data in Excel file. We have the data in Oracle file. So this is the different types of source location. So SSIS package can pull the data from different types of source location, and it is moving to the data into different types of destination location. So in this diagram, it is explaining this pick the file from DXS file, MSDB database, Oracle database, SQL server data. From everywhere, it is picking the data and to different types of destination server. The main purpose is data movement to one location to another location. That is the main purpose of SSIS package. So to moving the data, I already explained you different types of location like Excel, CSV file, SQL server, Oracle, like that. So yeah, for every types we have different execution step we have in SSIS package. The first thing is execute SQL tasks. This task is using to configure the SQL script. For example, I want to pull the data from one source location with the select statement. Then you have to keep the particular select statement. For example, select star from a employee table. Okay. Then you have to keep the particular select statement in this execute SQL task. Data flow task. Data flow task, it is used to configure different types of source location and destination locations. So maybe that is different types of server and database. Uh, in destination also, maybe you can use different types of server and database. So what are the source or destination you select? It will pick the data from source location and move the data into a destination location. Analysis service process tasks. Okay, it will, for example, we can, this option is provide the merge the data. For example, you can directly configure the destination table over the in execution step, and it is directly merge the data into table. Execute package task. So execute package task means inside the SSIS package, there is a parent package is there is a child package is there. Okay. Parent package, what it will do, this step, it will, for example, inside the one parent package, we can create multiple child package. So if you want to run the child package via this parent package, you can configure the particular child package in this execute process task. Sorry, execute package task. And also this execute process task, this task, it is a provided option to passing the parameter values. For example, you are going to execute one select statement. In the select statement, if you using any where condition, in the where condition you have to pass some values, right? That values you can passing via parameter. That parameter types of script you can created in execute process task. File system task. System task means I already discussed before. This SSIS package is supporting different types of file types. It will support SQL Server and file. File means a CSV file or Excel file, like that. So in this type of task is a provided option to pick the data from file. For example, you can pick the data from SAML file also, to pick the data and manipulating data in the package itself and move the data into some destination location. Then FTP task. FTP task means some FTP location, some FTP path. For example, we have some path in our system, right? D folder or C folder or something. These are FTP path. So if you keep some SAML file or Oracle database file, if you keep in the FTP path, then this task is used to pick the data from that FTP path location and manipulate the data and send the data to destination location. Then script task. Script task is nothing but it is provided the option to create the C# code. C# code means, for example, if you once you pick the data, if you want to modify any changes on the data, or if you want to configure any stored procedure, you can create the C# code itself in SSIS package itself. So script task is provide the option to create the C# code. Send mail task. Send mail task is using for send the mail status. For example, you pick the data and the data have some status, right? For example, the job is any job is running, it is a complete, the job is completed successfully or not. Those kind of status some business want to send send in email format. So in the send mail task provided the option to create the status in email format. So here you can configure the email IDs here. So whenever the job is run, a job is completed, it will send the status in email format, which email ID you configured here. Bulk insert bulk insert means the bulk, if you want to insert bulk amount of data in the particular table, you can use this bulk insert task. Okay. So a scripted task I already discussed. We can create the C# coding and all. Web services task. Web services task means this is one types of tasks we can use RPA. RPA means it is like a HTTP URL. HTTP URL also have the option to pull the data from some browser-based application. So if you have any HTTP URL or RPA, if you configure the particular HTTP URL in the in this web services task, you can pull the data from some source application to destination via this HTTP URL. Okay. So WMI event watcher task. WMI event watcher task means now there are different types of tasks we are managing in SSIS package. So I just want to run the execution steps one by one. I do not want everything in parallel. So this kind of situation you have to use this task. This task, what it will do, it will run once this depending step is completed, then it will automatically start. So this is the event waiter. It is wait for depending execution is completed. Once it is completed, depending execution is completed, it will automatically kick off and do the process. So this is the next one is XML task. XML task is nothing but I already told you the SSIS package provide the option to read the data from different types of file. XML task means we can configure XML type of file data. Once you configure this XML task, you can read the data from XML file. So these are the execution steps we have in SSIS package to read the data. Here I am explaining you how to, once after created SSIS package, how to deploy the application into server. Okay. Once created, just right click the once you create the application, the solution should be like this. Just right click the solution. Once you right click, you have the deploy option. Once click the deploy, the property screen will be populated. In the property screen, it will ask the server path, which server you want to deploy the application. You have to select the particular server path here, and once you selected this is a completion status. It will if it is everything green, then the particular SSIS package is deployed in the SSIS server. Here you could see the SSIS server. Every server have SSIS DB folder by default. Once you deploy the application in SSIS folder or SSIS folder, the particular deployment package will automatically move to SSIS DB folder. So now you have the you can ask one question: what is the difference between SSIS server, database server, and web server or app server? Database server is using to create the stored procedure database and all. So what are the data you want to store in database? That is supported by database DB server. Application server means if you want to publish or deploy any .NET application, you can deploy or publish the application in web application or app application. SSIS server is using to deploy the SSIS package. And also once you open the SSIS server, this SSIS DB folder will be defaultly presented. Once you deploy the application in SSIS DB folder, the particular package will automatically move over the folder. So these are the three different types of server. So environmental variable creation. So every SSIS server have environment folder. Here you can see here bottom. Here you could see the environmental folder. Environmental folder is using for example, as we discussed before, every application, .NET application have the configuration files to keep the common values like server detail, FTP path, URL details and all. Like that, all the SSIS package also have the configuration file. That configuration file you have to keep it in environmental variable. In environmental variable, right? Once you add the related environmental variable, here you can in the screen is showing what are the server name you want to add, and what are the FTP URL you want to add. Everything you can, all the common values you can created in environmental variable. Okay, this is the main purpose of environmental variable, to keep the common values. So now we developed the SSIS package. We deployed the SSIS package. We deployed the SSIS package and we configure all the environment variable. But we need to run the package, right? So there are two different types of run we can do in SSIS package. One is manual run. Another one is automatically run. The manual run we can do whenever you want to run the package. You just right click. Once you right click, you can see the execute option. If you click the execute option, the particular package run over the server and it will do the process. Okay. Now we will go with the automation run. Automation run, for example, in a big organization, they want to move the data every 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes means every 5 minutes, it is very difficult to manually run every 5 minutes. It will take more time to run this package, because every 5 minutes running the package manually, it is not possible. So they see a CA is one big organization. They will create this automation tool and all. So we are using one automation tool like Dollar Universe tool. The purpose of is Dollar Universe tool is to automatically kick off the SSIS jobs. We no need to do any manual effort. For example, SSIS Dollar Universe tool is provide the option to schedule the SSIS package. For example, business or customer want to run the package every 5 minutes or every 1 day or every monthly ones or yearly ones. Whenever they want, they can schedule the particular package in Dollar Universe. For example, I want to run the package every 5 minutes. Then just configure every 5 minutes and the particular folder path location, right? For example, I deploy the package under SSIS DB folder. This package navigation location, if you configure here, this Dollar Universe, the Dollar Universe tool, based on your schedule time, it will automatically kick off and do the process. This diagram is showing what you want to schedule and when you want to schedule. When you want to schedule means that is a Dollar Universe tool. So based on schedule time, the Dollar Universe tool automatically kick up the job and do the expected process. So this is the main purpose of Dollar Universe tool. We can schedule, we can automatically kick off jobs. SSRS report. SSRS report is nothing but we are SQL Server reporting service. So before we discussed about how to managing data in database, how to move the data from one location to another location. Now business, most of the business, they are not even using system, or they don't want to log in the system, or they don't want to run the script manually, or they don't want to manually check anything. They just want to check the status in email format. Everybody nowadays, everybody using a mobile phone, right? Everybody, all the business or customer, they want to check the status in email format. So this is the SSRS report, provide the option to configure the script from different location. We can configure the mail ID. We can configure the schedule time. We can formatting the data in email format. These are the 4 important features we have in SSRS package. So it have the option to configure the script, right? For example, and the number of I want to check, business want to check the number of record stored in particular table, like employee table. So select here we can configure the script like select count star from this table, then it will populate the number of count. So the script we can configure here. Now then we can schedule the report. Schedule, for example, business or customer, they want to check the count daily once. For example, 12 a.m. they want to see. Then you can schedule 12 a.m. Every 12 a.m. here. Okay. Now we make the script and we scheduled. Then the third option is we can configure the email ID. Which email ID you want to send the status? That is maybe customer email ID or URL. URL need that status. We can configure that particular email ID there, and we can format which format they want the data. We can format the data. So based on the schedule time, the report automatically execute the script, pull the data, and format the data is email the data to which email ID we configure. So So this everything will be automated. So this is the main purpose of SSRS report. So here I am showing you how to create the SSRS report. Once you install SQL Server reporting services, in the right click, you have the option to report builder. Once you click the report builder, you can see the blank report. Once you open the blank report, the platform will be show you create the report. And also there is many options there. You can format the data in chart format, everything we can do here. And here in the data, in the screen highlighted data source fold, right? If you run some script in SSRS report, you have to make connection between SQL or Oracle, right? To run the particular script. That connection string you can make in data source, okay? In the data source have the option to make the connection. So in the below screen, right? In the below screen, here you can see server name, which is from which server you want to pull the data. Once you right click the after once you click this data source, you can see the screen. In the screen, you can see the server name. And for example, every server they did security configuration, right? Like username and password. And once you enter the username and password, just click OK. If you make the connection, the test connection, it will highlighted with the test connection succeed. Okay. Once the text connection succeed, you can, this is the part, right? Data set part. We have another one folder in bottom, like a data set. Data set, in the data set part, you can make the script, select start from which table you want to pull the data. So those things you can configure here. So now we make the connection from database, we configure the script. So based on the schedule time, the particular script will be executed and populated data from the database. Here I am this screen will showing you. For example, the table have what are the it should have multiple columns like region, country, item, sales. So what are the columns we pulled in the select statement? Those columns will be populate here. So here this option is provide once you right click the SSRS report, you could see the option like manage. In the manage option, you can see the subscription. Subscription is provide the feature to schedule the configure the email ID and schedule the time. So based on the schedule time, the report will automatically kick off and send the mail to which mail ID you configure. So here, once you open that particular subscription, here you can see this screen will show configure the mail ID details and schedule time details. So based on your configuration, the particular SSRS report automatically kick off and send the data in email format. So I am done now. So if you have any question, you can ask.
Thank you, Shibu. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. Hope you can queries. If you are having any queries, kindly post your queries here. Dear participants, if you are having any queries, you can post it here in the chat box.
Already one query, already previous
One authorization.
authentication. Yeah.
Authentication, yes, I have also seen. Sir, Amal sir, could you please read that query?
No, ma'am, that is closed, I think. 1 minute.
Yes. Authentication process in SQL. Mahendra Chaudhary, question. He raised one question. Authentication process in SQL.
So authentication process is nothing but in a big organization, the developer don't have in initial time, the developer don't have access to SQL server. Okay, so that is the server part is maintaining by a different team. The team is called network team. Okay, network team is have all the rights to provide the access. So if you want to access to the particular server, you have to request them to request them to give access to you. For example, I am working in team one. Team one, for example, sometimes team one have around 10 employees, but only 2 employees have the access for a SQL server. And they don't give access to all the resources. But in particularly, if you want to need the access for the particular server, you have to submit some form. For example, in big organization, they keep some set of procedure to get the access. Some access, we are doing some access request form. In the access request form, you have to enter your input like, I want to access for this server name, database name like this. I want to only read access, or I want to only read or write access. Read access means what? I want to only read data, but I should not enter any data. I should not enter or do any modification, or I should not do any delete option there. If you want to only read option, then you can request read only access. If you want to do both read and write access, based on your read and write access. But once you registered, they should not provide access immediately. They should not provide. It will go to multiple approval. Your manager approval, it will go. Your director approval, it will go. Everything is approved. Then only network team provide access to you. Because if any without any permission, if anything going to change over the database, it will be very critical impact. So you should need your higher level access to get the access. This is the actual procedure we are we are doing in the organization.
Okay, Shibu. Thank you for your explanation. Now I request Mrs. C. Mahadevi, Assistant Professor of MCA Department, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Hope this was a knowledge acquirable session for everyone. First, I thank God for making his webinar a successful one. I thank the support given by management, SCAT group of institution, Professor Planning and Development, Alumni Association, and principal. I thank the resource person, Mr. Maria Shibu, for sharing your knowledge and your time. As well, you make this session so valuable. I thank our HOD, the other faculty members of our department for materializing this webinar. Mostly importantly, I thank all the participants from various college and our college. Once again, I thank you all.
And thank you, Mahadevi ma'am. So, thank you, participants, for your valuable presence. And I hope so you can fill the feedback and get the e-certificate. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you so much. Arvind sir?
Okay.
Okay, sir.
So, thank you, Angel ma'am, for hosting this webinar. It was a wonderful webinar. And thank you so much for coordinating and arranging alumni from South America, from Uruguay, as a resource person and sharing his expertise on Microsoft. It was a very wonderful webinar that was arranged. Thank you so much, Angel Ma'am and your team.